nice sound clips for you today. I do actually have sound clips. Yes, I do. I have some early morning sound clips for you guys. Good. All right. We are live. We got the microphone. I'm not sure if this is actually recording well, if it sounds good. The system won't let me monitor, so we're going to have to see if this actually works properly. If it doesn't, because I'm plugging in the Zoom again, Zoom H4n. Which has been giving me issues for sound. So if I sound like a helium junkie, you'll know why. Right. Okay. Thanks for joining me so far. All right, recorder going. Show notes coming up. Oh, viewer left. That happens. Right. What do we got today? World population. Salman Rushdie. Double workouts. HSK vocab. 24 miles. YouTube shorts. Right. Okay. I think we're ready. Why not? World population to hit 8 billion or so. Salman Rushdie stabbed. Double workouts on a Monday. HSK vocab takes forever. 24 miles. Second Ring Road. YouTube shorts are where it at. NATO encroachment and Lex podcast had an interesting guest over the weekend. Folks, it is Monday, August 15th, 2022. I'm Steven Sersky. Thanks for joining me. And this here is my audio digest, daily audio digest. I published this Friday. Archives up on my website, stevensersky.com. Here I yik-yak about some of the things that are going on in Beijing, some of the things I follow around the world, notably the war in Ukraine at the moment, and of course, some of the things that I do here with my life here in China as well. So thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Yes, the population of the world is supposed to hit 8 billion people sometime soon. And it was almost as if this article was talking about it's going to be a problem. And yet people are also saying at the same time that birth rates are declining. And China only recently instantiated or removed the one-child policy, bumped it up to two-child policy in 2015, and then three-child policy now. Actually, I'm not even sure it's a three-child policy. I think it's a three-child. Please do this because the demographics of China are getting older. Very much skewed to the older people who apparently don't know anything about technology, even though they built them and helped build them. But 8 billion people. I don't know how many kids do you guys want to have, guys and girls out there? 1, 2. Most families typically it is one kid, at least for all the. Might be because of the culture, in terms of. Compared to someone who were to stay in their homeland sort of thing. So I don't know. One question that did pop into my mind about this argument about the 8 billion, I remember hearing people weren't having kids because it was bad for the environment. That never made sense to me. It never did. It actually seemed rather insulting, to tell you the truth. For any number of reasons, it was just like, I don't understand how someone can blame a child. Okay, diapers and baby food and all the waste that comes along with supporting a baby, like packaging and stuff like that, for the baby diapers come in plastic packaging, the clothing, stuff like that. But that's a very negative view of humanity. And those people who propagate that, I mean, they're not really people I would hang around with, to tell you the truth. But I mean, it might be that because I wouldn't hang around with them anyway, and that's why they're saying it. But 8 billion people, I don't know. Good question. Do you think we're running out of room? I don't think so. Looking at Google Earth, I think we've got lots of room to go, I guess. Salman Rushdie stabbed. Yeah, I've never read his books. I remember when the Satanic Verses came out many years ago, 25 years ago or so, back in the 90s. And it was a big hullabaloo because growing up in a Ukrainian Catholic family, anything with the word Satan in it was bad. And when he came out, I don't even know what the book is about, to tell you the truth. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I've never even been, I've never looked at his books with any sort of interest in reading them. I thought they were mostly fiction, from what I understand. From what I understand, that this stabbing in New York was done by another Iranian. So he's pissed off a bunch of Iranians before. He's pissed off a whole bunch of people, not just the Ukrainian Catholics or the Catholics, but lots of people. And I guess he's controversial. I don't really understand the controversy behind him. But yeah, he got stabbed in the neck, and he's all right. He's all right, apparently. So he should make it through. But whether or not, yeah, I mean, he's an author. He's a writer, and he got stabbed on stage in New York. And one of the thoughts that crossed my mind, I was like, who would ever want to live in a country where they attack authors and stab them on stage? And you remember where I live and travel, right? But Monday, double workouts. So I did get up and I got going. Did both of my workouts this morning. Solid performance, I'd say. Wasn't lacking any energy, despite like waking up at 4 o'clock and staying in bed until 6 or so. But I was up at 4 and just couldn't get back to bed. But I guess I could have just gotten up, done my workout. But if you do that, then you get knackered later on in the day. It kind of throws off your whole schedule. But that being the case, double workouts. So in the morning, did my my steel club workout, which is good. So I do 2 miles and I skip for 10 minutes, and then I did another 20 or 30 minutes of steel club workout, which is a nice little. It gets some momentum going. And then in the afternoon, I did another 2 miles, and then I do this. I call it the squat in 20, but it's not. It's based on the idea that what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to squat. Do like your squat exercises, then run 400 meters. I'm not going to run 400 meters. Well, I could, but I just run around. There's a nice little half loop that I can go in. So I do that instead. And I do variations of kettlebell swings and exercises. So I do that, and I set my timer for 23 minutes, and I do round and round, basically. And then after that, I've been working on one-arm push-ups, inclined one-arm push-ups, which sounds very fancy, but at the rate that I'm going at, I'm still at the falling stage, the collapsing stage. So one of the stages that you do to build up your strength is you go on one arm and then you lower yourself down towards the ground. But if you're not strong enough or you don't have the proper technique, you won't be able to do it, and you'll collapse. So you have to have your second hand there ready to catch you. So I'm still on that stage sort of thing. And noticed it was a bit stronger today, but I'm still far away from being able to do a one-arm push-up just yet. And one-arm pull-ups, haven't even really given that much of a go just yet, but we'll get there. Weekend was productive. A few things done with HSK vocab. I did a study session on my language vlog. I don't know if you got to see that. It was 48 minutes long. It was quite long because I was going through the countries, and I haven't touched that deck in a very long time. And it just took me forever to do. It was 20 new words and 100 review cards. So it took me 48 minutes to get through the whole thing. I spent 97 minutes yesterday on Sunday going through all my Anki Droid cards. Got them done, thankfully. And I never did do memorize, though. So I only did Anki Droid. I never get around to the other flashcards that I have. But was able to finally do it. Learned a few, but they're not sticking. I find it difficult to remember because some of the country names, they're not so intuitive. They're not what you think they were. Wen Lai is one that comes to mind, and that's not. Is that Brunei? I can't remember. Yeah, one of them. And then Bolivia, like Bolivia, is Bolivia, and then what's Belize, right? So I get them sort of confused sometimes. And then there's ones like the Dominican Republic of the Congo, and there's another one, the Republic of the. There's 2 or 3 republics that. Gonghe Guo is republic. That's okay. Got that. The People's Republic. But then is it Duoming Guo? Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. See that this is what gets me. It's I forget, and then I get the character wrong, and it gives me a red X, and you gotta start again. You press the review in 15 minutes, which is never 15 minutes because I go through them pretty quickly. But still haven't got the results from my HSK 5 test just yet. I am hesitant to check. But I am still planning to retake it probably in October or November of this year. One success this weekend was actually, I did leave you guys hanging on Friday night saying I was going to rip around the second ring road on bike. Maybe not rip, but I was going to cycle around the second ring road, and I did. So I got up. I didn't get up until 7 on Saturday. So I was out the door by 7:20, and that was late. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit late for it because by the time I finished, it took me just over 2 hours to do the whole thing. It was 24 miles total. So that's about 31 kilometers or so. Did the whole thing on a share bike, to which one guy was like, "You shouldn't do that. It's terrible for your knees." I'm like, "Yeah, well, maybe that's why my knees had been hurting lately." Or I felt them. I thought it was because I wasn't doing my mobility exercises as much. But yeah, they certainly do have a bit more of a feeling to them that is more of the pain side compared to before. And this has started since I started doing cycling, since I started cycling on my active rest days, I guess you could say. So, but I did it. So second ring road completed at least once. I mean, now that I did it once, I could probably do it again. So I was thinking about this because one of the reasons I want to do this sort of lengthy trip, because I mentioned this trip out to Inner Mongolia and these cycling trips that I want to go on. They're cycling 70, 80 kilometers a day. So it's 40 miles roughly, give or take, and 40, 50 miles a day. I'm like, well, I've never done that before, so I should probably practice. And I was thinking, well, second ring road is a good accomplishment. It's something I've been wanting to do. I want to do the third ring road, but that's double the length. I think it's 50 or 60 kilometers. So it's like 40 or 50, is it 40 miles total? Yeah, it's lengthy. And you're going, oof, that's not one GoPro battery. That's a little bit more. So I did manage to get the second ring road trip on the GoPro. I used the battery and I brought a battery pack with me. So I got through most of it with just using the GoPro battery. And then I had to plug it in towards the end, which is good. It's actually one of the things I was sort of concerned about because I'm not going to lie. I wanted the video evidence of me doing it. And I haven't posted it yet. But I mean, I posted some pictures of the full trail. But that was sort of one of the things I was kind of concerned about, like, how am I going to be able to record this whole thing? Because it's a different challenge doing lengthy recordings like this in terms of battery, like juice, and storage afterwards as well. So, but yeah, finally got it done. Went for breakfast after at Baker and Spice. I sat down and was like, wow, I feel it wasn't bad, but I mean, after cycling 24 miles, you go sit down in a cafe. No one knows what you did. You're sitting there going, okay, I'll just have the coffee and, some breakfast and whatever, right? I ate quite a bit, but yeah, it was kind of neat though, being able to do it. Walking, I was noticeably walking slower than I normally do. That might have been also because bike shorts didn't like but was able to do it, so I'm happy. Got it done. Second ring road, check. Third ring road, we'll see about that. That one's really big. That one is really big. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, YouTube Shorts. If you guys haven't seen this, I guess YouTube is taking on what would be Instagram would be the obvious one. I think it's also TikTok. I think because of the U.S. President Trump, former President Trump, targeting Chinese firms, TikTok has been sort of under a lot of scrutiny lately. And I mentioned this last week, Joe Rogan versus Gary Vaynerchuk on their takes on using TikTok and the terms of service and stuff like that. And I guess one of the issues with TikTok is that people are using it, but they're not understanding what sort of like what data is being mined. And that's okay. It's really neither here nor there, because I'm more on the side of Gary Vaynerchuk on that side where he's like, you're giving away anyway. If it wasn't these, you'd be yik-yakking to somebody else, or you'd be using another app. Like, the technology has enabled us to do this regardless of the terms of service that are involved, right? That being the case, TikTok, although it's still a prominent figure in the social media landscape, and you do see a lot of people using it, this YouTube Shorts, I mean, I'm seeing it. I mean, I'm hitting 1,000 views very easily on some of these videos. Not just my language vlog, but I posted a couple on my regular blog, my regular YouTube channel, where I'm posting these audio blogs daily. And yeah, it's yeah, I mean, hitting 1,000 views, you kind of go, wow, that wouldn't happen on Instagram. And I remember other people have said it's tough to grow on Instagram these days. It's very difficult to grow organically on Instagram. TikTok, I guess you could still do it, but YouTube Shorts seems to be the sort of next iteration of short form video content. And it's easily set up. I'm not having to create a new account and remember the password for, which is very nice, to tell you the truth. One other thing I was able to do this weekend was actually listen to the Lex Friedman podcast. He had on, was it Alex Bustamante, former CIA spy, covert operative? And this was fascinating. I only got through about an hour and 20 minutes of it or so, but he talks about the war in Ukraine. Lex Friedman is Ukrainian. He speaks Russian and Ukrainian. I think he speaks Ukrainian, but he is Ukrainian. He immigrated to the States when he was young. But Bustamante goes on about how Russia, for all intents and purposes, are winning the war that they started. You can argue about the humanity, the human cost, and everything, but at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, Russia has been able to gain the upper hand. And he talks about some certain different scenarios in which it could sort of it could play out, it could change, but it does look as if Russia is playing the long hand here, where they're going for a protracted war because I mentioned this before. They manufacture the bullets. They've got access to a customer in the Far East, not just for their own commodities, but so that they can buy stuff that they need. They manufacture their own equipment. They have lots of troops, and they have whether or not they've gotten other sort of private military cooperatives as well. Who knows? But they've got lots of it. So. Yeah, Bustamante was not very optimistic about Ukraine coming out the other side of this war, being very healthy afterwards. Now, he didn't say they would completely lose, and they didn't say that it would be a complete dismantling or destruction of the country either. And that's very important to keep in mind, is that as though, and I've seen this on WeChat, some people are posting, as much as people can call us a proxy war, and equate it with the war in Afghanistan and stuff like that. At the end of the day, Afghanistan wasn't about erasing a people, whereas Putin and his belief in office in the Russian parliament that Ukraine should not exist as a nation, that's his view. And he labels anyone who believes that Ukraine is a country, a sovereign nation, as a nationalist and therefore someone to be dealt with as a fascist. Bustamante never talked about this, and I'm surprised that Friedman didn't bring it up. I guess it was probably a very difficult to explain concept, only because it's like when you have the U.S. supplying and NATO supplying Ukraine with these weapons, there's some strings attached. Noticeable, and this is actually what Bustamante does talk about. He talks about this is not a war of attrition for one thing, but Ukraine's not getting these arms and deals for free. They're becoming heavily indebted, which Russia does not want to take on should they win this war, should this war ever end. So they don't want to pay off Ukraine's debt for shooting at them, which means that has to be dealt with somehow. And so it's a fascinating discussion he talks about. But the one thing he doesn't talk about is that this isn't just a war of like between Russia and the United States or proxy or like about money. As much as he talks about money, this is a cultural war wherein the people in Moscow, in government, don't think Ukraine should exist. And that this is a huge issue that, is being overlooked by a lot of people. And this is why the fight for Ukraine, this is why you see a lot of Ukrainian hyphenates around the world rallying to support the country and still talking about it, because Soviet Union tried to do this 100 years ago. They tried to erase the Ukrainian culture and the heritage and everything, and the language. And so much of this, so many of the expat Ukrainians, like the Ukrainian descendants that you'll meet overseas, are descendants from the people who fled the first Soviet attempt to erase their culture, right? So that's why you will know so many Ukrainians, and they'll be all over the place, because they had to flee or die, and you see it happening again. How will it play out this time? Good question. How long is it going to play out? Well, Cold War lasted 40 years. World War II lasted 6 years. World War I was 4 years. I mean, we're not even half a year into this one. COVID is what, 3 years in already? How long was the Spanish flu? How long was the Black Plague? I mean, so you kind of look at these numbers. How long does it take for something like this to sort of work its way through the system? Good question. Highly recommend you take a listen to it. I think it's episode number 370 of the Lex Friedman podcast. So it's Fridman. Lex as in Lex. Lex Luthor. There you go. Lex Friedman podcast with, I think it's Alex Bustamante, former CIA covert operative. Very good stuff. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And if you didn't catch this, you can head on over to my website, stevensersky.com. That's where I put the show notes, tracks, and the live stream links that you can have a look at what I do in my free time in Beijing evenings. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks again. We'll talk again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.